In this video, we are going to talk about how you find the mode of a data set. Now, mode is simply the number or numbers that shows up the most amount of times in your list. Now, the easiest way to remember this is mode starts with MO, and so does the word most. So again, easy way to remember it, they both start with MO, mode, and most. So if we take a look at number one, I like to order my data from least to greatest before I do anything else, just because it makes it easier to read your data. So let's order it from least to greatest. My smallest number is 11, followed by 11 again. We have 12, we have 26, 34, and finally we have 40. And again, mode is the number of numbers that shows up the most amount of times. And in number one, I noticed that 11 shows up twice, whereas all the other numbers show up just one time. So I know for number one, my mode is going to be 11 because that's the number that appears the most amount of times. For number two, let's do the same thing. Let's order them from least to greatest. So we have 13, followed by 16. Then we have 38, 44, and finally 51. Now, if you ever come across this scenario, notice how all of the numbers show up just one time. No number stands out, no number appears more than once. If this ever happens to you on a homework assignment, a quiz, a test, anything like that, your answer is going to be no mode. If all of the numbers show up just one time, your answer is no mode. So for number two, we have no mode. All right, for number three, let's order our numbers from least to greatest. We have 18, followed by 18 again. Then we have 21, 21 again, 23, 30, 44, and finally we have 67. Now, taking a look at this list of numbers, I see that 18 shows up twice, and 21 also shows up twice. These numbers appear more than once, and they actually show up the same amount of times as one another. 18 appears twice, and 21 appears twice. So in this particular scenario, you're going to have two modes. So for number three, our two modes are 18 and 21. Now, before you go, I have a couple problems that I want you to try out. That way you know you're able to find mode with no issues. So I encourage you to pause the video here and try and find the mode for numbers 1, 2, and 3. Once you think you have your answers, come back and play the video and see how you did. So for number one, let's go over it. I'm assuming you've paused the video, you've tried it out. Let's order our numbers from least to greatest. So we have 12, another 12, 13, 27, 32, and we finish it off with two 36s. Right? And if we analyze our data set here, I see that 12 shows up two times, and I also see that 36 shows up two times. Every other number appears just once, and in this particular scenario, we are going to have two modes because 12 showed up twice and 36 also showed up twice. They appeared the same amount of times, so we have two modes for this problem. For number two, let's order our numbers from least to greatest. We have 18, followed by 21, 23, 30, 44, and finally 67. If we look at our numbers here, I see that all of them appear just one time and one time only, which means we are going to have no mode for number two. So hopefully at this point you're 2 for 2. You had 12 and 36 for number one, and then you got no mode for number two. And now let's move on to the last one. Let's order them from least to greatest. We have 14. We have another 14. We now have 29. Looks like we have three 34s here. So 34, 34, and finally one more 34. We have a 55 and a 58. Now, analyzing this data set, I noticed that 14 appears 2 times. However, it looks like 34 appears 3 times. So 34 is the number that shows up the most amount of times compared to everything else. So I know my mode for number 3 is going to be just 34. All right, hopefully you went 3 for 3 in the independent practice, and after watching this video you can find the mode of a data set successfully, and I'll see you in the next video.